Hi guys, it's Teacher Kat here with an education video about different ways to support a child sharing. And this is for the early childhood. It would be pretty much from a walker all the way up to, it would actually be 8 months, up to probably about age 6. So to encourage sharing developmentally, first a child needs to learn about me, myself, and I. You've heard the terrific twos, mine. I don't believe in terrible twos. I call them terrific twos. They're a joy, the surge of independence. And it's completely normal, and it's actually developmentally appropriate for a child to be in a my, mine frame. So once a child learns about me, myself, and I, then it's they, right? It's like them over there. And then once they realize their own space and their own things and someone else's own space and things, it can merge into a we factor. Sharing happens, early years, like 18 months and up. Children can learn it earlier, but especially in the preschool years is really, really takes off that understanding of we. And so a couple of things I feel that are important about teaching a child to share is one, to respect the child and the item that you are requesting or someone is asking to share. Even us adults have things that we don't want to share, and that's 100% totally okay. You want to, foster and create a child that will share and will be generous and will think of others. However, respecting the individuality of each child and their passions. For instance, if it's a child's favorite fire truck and their friends are coming over and the child that you have will not want to share their fire truck, a way you can respect that would be to say, okay, little Timmy or little Tanya, so-and-so is coming over. We're going to have a play date. Anything you do not want to share, let's put up on the shelf in the closet, or let's move to this room, or let's put it on a blanket. And anything on this blanket are things that you're choosing when they come not to share. And when they're here, we won't play with those things. And then you can have it back for you after so-and-so leaves. That way, the child gets to pick his or her toys and other items. It could even be like a special blankie or a stuffed animal. And they're in a safe, protected place. I like to think in the framework of not everybody lives in a house. Some families live in a studio. Not everybody will have a lot of room to put the items. So if there's a lot of items your child is not wanting to share, remember, if you have a car, you can put it in the trunk of a car. You can, be creative and put it in an empty dishwasher. But I think it's really important that you've had the conversation, and you can do this with children 1.5 years to start the practice. Anything in here is something you do not have to share when somebody comes over. And so they get the choice of picking. And then if the child has a hard time when a child or the children come over, you remind them that this is where we place the items that you are not going to share. I hear that you're choosing not to share this one right now. However, we had an agreement. We had an arrangement. And the self-empowerment that gives a child of the child being able to pick the toys that he or she is choosing not to share is wonderful. And the validation that you're respecting the autonomy and individuality of that child and that child's voice. Now, with younger children, you can even have it where parallel play happens instead of interactive engagement, cooperative play. So if a child is even 18 months and another child the same age comes over 18 months and they haven't grown out of parallel play, which is basically one child playing next to the other, but they're not interacting with each other, it might even be okay to take one of those items that the child didn't want to share, knowing that another child's coming over who isn't into the cooperative style play yet. So another way that you can support a child in sharing is to let the child know when they go to a park All right. Some parents bring everything but the kitchen sink to a park. And if you're going to share all the dishes in the sink, great. But if you're not, then you're setting it up for a non-positive park experience a lot of the times. And plus, who wants to load all that stuff, right? Unless it's already in your car. So you can make an arrangement with your child saying, we're going to go to this park, or we're going to go to this beach. Would you like to bring sand toys today? Oh, you do? Okay, you can bring a couple sand toys if you choose to not share them. If you want to share some of your sand toys, let's pick 8, something like that. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming for a young child to understand, that to have to share everything. It's like, why? They're mine, they're from my home, and it doesn't seem fair. But if you're already setting up reasoning and communication, and it leads to positive conflict resolution when it does happen, because a child might forget, reinforcing what was already said, it sets it up for a wonderful pattern for the future. And so another thing about sharing in regards to food, it's so important in this day and age that when I grew up, we didn't have to worry about EpiPens, but there's so many people, even the smell of a peanut. So I would suggest just letting children not share each other's food unless the grown-up or an educated caregiver or the teacher is there knowing exactly a child's allergies. There are life and death moments for children, and it happens all too quick in asphyxiation. And if a child does not have an EpiPen and ends up being allergic, and you're trying to share food with a child to another child, you're in really hot water. So in regards to food, unless you truly know another child's diet who's coming over, my suggestion is the one thing we don't share is food that we bring in our lunch bag. Now, if you're having a potluck or a birthday party or something and other adults are there in charge of other children, that's different. But this is from lunch boxes and things like that. Okay, so those are some little ways that will hopefully help you in encouraging sharing. Is first to value that child's autonomy and think of yourself. If it was you, there's things you don't want to share. So have the respect for the me, myself, and I, and then the they, and Bridget and join with a we. Okay, everybody, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to write them for other parents below or other caregivers, other teachers. Take care. God bless.